Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Capella Podcast. And today I'm joined by Nwannia Sorzano. And I am really excited about this episode. We're going to talk about parenting communities and how they can help support parents all around the world. So, hi, Nwannia. How are you doing? And
Hi,
thank you for being here today.
I'm doing well. I'm so happy to be a part of this podcast. I think
Awesome.
it's something that parents definitely need. Just to get a feel of, especially new parents, to get a feel of, how to do this whole thing.
Well, yes, you're right. And that's why I love doing it. And I love to learn from experts who come here and kind of share their experience. So, Nuania, tell us a little bit more about yourself so that we know you and we get to know who we're talking to. Yeah, I'd love for you to go over everything done.
So I am a mom of three children, two boys, 8 and 7, and then I have a 6-month-old girl, very beautiful, bouncing baby girl, very, very active. So it has been a wonderful parenting journey. A lot of ups and downs, roller coasters, as any parent would know how it is.
Mhm.
And I also am the admin for the largest European formula feeding group, parenting group called Kendamil Hip and Holly Formulas Parent Support Community. And in that community, we basically just assist parents. Most of them are from the US, and being able to supply the best formula for their particular infant.
That's super interesting. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how it came about and how you started to run this community? What's the backstory?
So I was part of the community. I think for me, um, development in young children, babies. I think that's one of the most important part of a human's life. And so I was very interested in it. I joined the community, and um, I used to give advice, get advice as well. And then I was asked to be an administrator on the community. And I was so grateful and thankful that people thought that my advice was good enough to that I can be an admin on it. And well, yeah, that's basically how I became the admin. From there, I really enjoy speaking with parents because each parental journey is very different. And so I think, it's really important to treat each person as an individual and not just give blanket advice, because sometimes we get that a lot, either from a doctor or from, well, on especially on the internet. It's really, you just get just blanket advice, and it does not necessarily pertain to you or to your child. Yeah, so that's the purpose of the community as well.
That's awesome. I think it's so important because I've talked to hundreds of parents over the last like 2 years, and what my impression is, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it, is that new parents would much rather get advice from other new parents on communities than even their own mom or their doctor or their, whatever book. They'd rather learn from other parents, other new parents. So is that something that you
Yeah.
find too? And is that why these communities
Oh
are
yes,
thriving?
definitely. And I think having all the advice is important. Yes, getting some advice from your doctor, and from your close community, your family members, and that sort of thing. But then sometimes they are a bit disconnected, because they aren't currently going through the specific situation that you are going through.
Mhm.
So you would find where they're telling you, oh, sleep when the baby sleeps. That's not always applicable,
Mhm.
because there's so much more to do. And yes, it's very important to get your rest in. But I think getting the experience of someone who is, going through or have just went through what you just did,
Mhm.
it helps a great deal. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I've seen too. And so it's a community that's very focused on formula feeding, but you seem to have many other discussions about, a lot of other
Yes.
topics like sleeping and
Oh, yeah.
whatnot.
I think the main topic is poop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are mainly European formula, because that's because, well, I should say that in 2022, there was the a formula shortage in the US,
Mhm.
which made our group even more, it brought a lot more people to our group than before.
Mhm.
And that is because, well, yeah, there was a formula shortage, and moms just really needed to get to feed their kids, and that's basically what it was, you know. So, we had a lot of moms who were panicking and wasn't sure, you know, where they're going to get, the next formula for their kids and that sort of thing. So that particular point in time I would say was a crisis, you
Mhm.
know. And luckily, I should say thankfully, the different brands that we speak about in our group were able to send their formula from the UK, to the US, and be
Mhm.
able to supply moms
Mhm.
with formula for their babies.
Mhm.
Some of
That.
the formula some of the formula that we speak about in our group, like Kendamil, Holly, Loluca, Hip, and you'd find that the quality of the formulas, very is a really high quality. So you get,
Mhm.
none of the things that should not be in formula
Yeah.
in yes, in those brands.
Awesome. Yeah, it was. I remember it was so crazy, the formula
It
shortage.
was.
Crazy times. I'm glad we're kind of out of it yet now.
Yes.
So all the parents that are in your group, I'm guessing it's predominantly moms, but I'm guessing there's
Yes. And we
dads
do
too.
have some dads. We do have some dads as
Okay.
well. Yes.
So they have made the choice, to formula feed. Are their babies kind of very young, or are there mostly people who have breastfed before and then moved to formula, or is there also part of the moms that just formula fed from the beginning? And how do they feel about this whole thing? Because it's such a big debate kind of in our society when it shouldn't be, because fed is best. But
Yes.
do they also try to find a place where they relate to other people because their environment might judge them? And how do you
Yes.
see all of that conversation evolving,
Yes,
maybe?
definitely. So as you said, fed is best. So once your baby is happy and healthy, that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
And a lot of people choose formula for many different reasons. And
Mhm.
it's not okay for anyone to judge, what this specific person, and the reasons
Mhm.
why they may be giving their baby formula.
Mhm.
So, some moms, it may be due to a medical condition. It
Mhm.
could be because of their working situation,
Mhm.
and just or maybe just even mental health. Like, you've tried, breastfeeding, it's not working out. And so you just really need your baby to be healthy, and that's the most important thing, right? Um, but we have a wide variety of parents who come on the group for their kids. We have some that do combo feed. We do have some that are they strictly breastfeed, but they're thinking about switching to
Mhm.
formula in the future. And then we also have parents who know from the jump, so they are pregnant, in 26 weeks pregnant, and they're looking and doing their research from now because they know that they want their child to be formula fed, and they're looking for the best formula for them.
So your community is basically also a place where people come to kind of get, insights and learn about this whole crazy world of all these different brands and everything.
Yes.
Because I guess it can be very overwhelming, especially when you get a new baby. You have so many things to think about that just trying to understand all of that is pretty complicated. So
It
I think
is.
it would be super useful if you could kind of give us a breakdown. Like if you're just meeting a mom who's pregnant or who tried breastfeeding, it doesn't work. How can you start making sense of all the different formula brands? How are they kind of classified? Can you give us an overview, sorry, of the
Sure.
formula feeding world and what's good, what's less good? I want to
Yeah.
learn more.
So, well, different types of formula, obviously. They're from, cow milk formula, goat milk formula. There's also hydrolyzed formula. So, if it is your baby can't or is not able to process the cow milk
Mm-hmm.
protein, you can probably try a breakdown of the cow milk formula.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, I usually try to tell moms, try a goat milk formula first,
Mm-hmm.
because the curds are generally smaller in
Mm-hmm.
in goat milk. And and it's very natural, so
Mm-hmm.
we try to keep things as natural as possible,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know for sure Kendamil has their goat milk formula. It's readily available on Target shelves right now, so
Mm-hmm.
which makes it great because you don't have to now wait for any shipping times or anything like that. You could
Yeah.
pick one up, try it, and see if it works with your baby.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, my daughter, she she uses Kendamil Classic,
Mm-hmm.
right? I love the formula. Like sometimes I would even take a little scoop and put it in my coffee in the morning. Don't tell anyone,
Tell me.
but it tastes so good. It really does. It's,
Okay, that's great.
yeah, it really does. And so formulas like Kendamil, it is a whole milk formula,
Mm-hmm.
and it contains all of the good fats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are other formulas that they use skim milk, and that's because it's a cheaper option for
Mm-hmm.
the brand to do, right? But
Mm-hmm.
Kendamil uses a whole milk formula,
Mm-hmm.
and so you get all of the good fats in there, right? And then they will, do their added fats and whatnot. It's also palm oil free.
Mm-hmm.
So the your palm oils is sometimes it can be associated with constipation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you try your best to just have a baby that is happy and not cranky at all, because
Yeah.
you're going to get a baby who's going to be up all night anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you're just hoping that you can, make things as easy for your baby as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that really helps. It's also fish oil free and that sort of thing. There's holly as well. And I think when you're choosing a formula, you're looking for something that is closest to breast milk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking
Okay.
for like a weight to casein ratio that is similar to
Mm-hmm.
breast milk. I think those things are really, really important when it is you're looking for a formula.
Mm-hmm.
And also, anything that stays away from, unnecessary starches and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I wrote down fats, good fats, no palm oil, no starches.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we get a good picture. That's really interesting. And so, what are some, tips or advice pieces you would give to parents who are maybe hesitating because maybe some of them are, considering breastfeeding or formula feeding, and they're maybe coming to your group to ask what you think
Yeah.
and what's best for them. And so, have you ever, maybe you haven't, but have you ever helped parents make that choice for themselves? And what were the key things they took into consideration when making that choice?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I would like to say that it is, go at your own pace. Just because don't be pressured by outside influences when it comes to the way that you choose to feed your baby. Always listen to what's happening with your child
Mm-hmm.
first before anything else. And if it is you are considering, switching to formula, you may be breastfeeding and you want to switch, or maybe even just combo feed just to be able to supplement, one or two feedings during the day. I would say do it very slowly. So do a slow transition, because babies' digestive systems are, it's very sensitive. And so any change in diet, you would find that they would get a lot of spit up, which is expected. So even if
Yeah.
you do a slow transition, you will get spit up. You may, get, changes in their bowel movements and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So those things have to be expected. Gas as well. when you are doing a change. Then on during the transition period, um, you know, have some patience.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've seen sometimes where moms, they buy one formula, it doesn't work for two. Well, they in their mind, it's not working for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
They switch it up to something else, and then they switch again. And sometimes they go through, 4, 5, 6 different formulas, and that's not really good for the digestive system
Yeah.
of your child.
Wow.
So it's really important to give at least 2 weeks. I usually say 3 weeks, but for the very, very least, 2 weeks, unless you are seeing something that is that should not happen,
Yeah.
where it's like excessive mucus
Mm-hmm.
in the child's poop.
Mm-hmm.
We speak a lot about poop,
It's
right?
normal.
I think it's the territory.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, so unless you're seeing blood in stool or a lot of mucus. So now mucus is something that will happen at some point in time,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what I'm speaking about is excessive mucus,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the stool.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would want to, change the formula at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just, some spit up, gas, uncomfortable, I will wait, two
Yeah.
weeks, 3 weeks, and then if it persists, then you will consider switching to another formula.
Yeah.
And just to be sure, and just to let everyone know that spit up is normal.
Mm-hmm.
um Babies have their digestive systems have not fully developed, and
Mm-hmm.
so they are not, it's actually the last system for to develop in babies,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah,
Uh,
because they haven't, if you think about it, they haven't been
yeah.
using it at all,
Yeah.
before yeah, they're just
Yeah.
in their little womb and they feel uncomfortable and they're just being fed and they just don't even know how it happens, right?
Exactly.
And it's only
Exactly.
when they are out into the world that's when they
Mm-hmm.
begin to use that whole system.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to give them, time, grace, and patience, um, for that to fully develop. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you think about it, even in adults, the digestive system is something that can easily be,
Oh,
kind
yes,
of
for sure.
troubled for different ways. So it makes sense that it would even be bigger for a baby. So
Yes.
you talked about excessive mucus, blood in the stool, or what would that be a sign of? Like when should the parent just change formula or go to the doctor? Why would a kid have that? And what other kind of bad things could happen? I guess maybe allergies or things like that with formula that people need to be really aware of. Yeah.
So if you see excessive mucus or blood in the stool, it's a sign that your baby may have an allergy or
Hmm.
intolerance to
Okay.
cow milk tea.
Hmm.
And so I would, definitely go check out your doctor's,
Yeah.
your child's doctor, um,
Yeah.
just to see what can be done. If
Hmm.
you think that, let's say you've made an appointment and it's far, the appointment is far away,
Yeah.
and but you're seeing that something is definitely wrong, and that mother's instinct, that
Yeah.
something is wrong. You try to go with like a hydrolyzed um
Hmm.
uh formula. So that it basically, what that is that it breaks down the proteins. So
Hmm.
it's much easier for the baby to digest.
Hmm.
You can also try going to goat milk formula as well. But
Hmm.
for me, it depends on how serious you think the
Yeah.
situation is,
Yeah.
right? So you try to go to a hypoallergenic formula.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously go to your doctor, find out what's going on, and then allow your doctor to guide you from there.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
thing you said at the beginning of our conversation, which I found was super interesting, is you said that poop was the main kind of thing everyone
Yeah.
discusses, and it makes total sense because parents I heard are really worried about, in general, are really worried about their baby poop, for lack of a
Yes.
better word, and so if that's the most discussed topic, then can you kind of give us an insight of what people usually ask? Do they like post pictures and other people kind of give them insights, or
Yes.
what are the conversations around that topic, and how can
Um,
we support people who have questions around their baby?
so anyone who is joining our group, be prepared for poop pictures. We have a lot.
Okay.
And it's basically because you get to tell a lot about what's happening within the
Hmm.
baby by what's happening in their poop.
Hmm.
And not just as we spoke about maybe a baby who is intolerant or has an allergy to cow milk protein, but also what is discussed a lot is constipation, because even as you said with adults, right? Sometimes we have adults that are regular, and
Hmm.
sometimes they're not. Sometimes you go a couple of days
Yeah.
without pooping and that kind of thing, and so parents get really concerned because they expect that their baby should be on a clock, and
Hmm.
that's not necessarily the case, right?
Hmm.
So you would find where, especially with newborns,
Hmm.
they would probably go about 10 times for the day, all right?
Hmm.
And it's almost liquid, and some parents get concerned and they're wondering,
Hmm.
does my child have diarrhea? And if is he healthy? What's happening?
Hmm.
That is very normal, expected. The first time I experienced it, I was like, "What is happening? I am changing diapers like it's going out of style,"
Hmm.
you know. So,
Hmm.
and it was concerning for me as a new parent. So I could imagine, everyone else. It is something that will bring concern, but it is totally normal.
Yeah.
As the baby develops their digestive and as their digestive system matures,
Hmm.
you will get less poop, right? Um,
Hopefully.
and so and it varies. It varies per child. Sometimes it might be twice for the day.
Hmm.
Sometimes babies can even go up to 7 days,
Hmm.
and you don't get any poop at all. That also
Hmm.
sometimes parents get very concerned about it. The
Hmm.
most important part is looking at the poop itself,
Hmm.
and seeing if it is once it is either runny or it has like a peanut butter consistency, and the colors vary from yellow to green to dark
Yeah.
green, that's fine and it's normal.
Hmm.
Where you want to be concerned is if you get like pebble poop, that's a
Hmm.
sign of constipation.
Hmm.
If it is chalky and white, you
Hmm.
definitely want to see your pediatrician.
Hmm.
And or if as I said before, blood or excessive mucus
Hmm.
in stool. I want to go back to the mucus a bit
Yeah.
because, it is normal to see bits of mucus sometimes, especially when they're teething.
Hmm.
Sometimes it might just be, excess drool that their body is processing. So they're just getting rid of it.
Hmm.
So don't be too worked up or worried if it is you do see some mucus
Hmm.
in their stool. But if it's excessive and it's happening day after day after day,
Hmm.
that's when you want to take a look at it and check your doctor about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. I just had a question pop up while you were talking about all this conversation is, are there any, for example, I don't know, tech companies or something where would have been developed by someone to kind of analyze poop and do all these things, or is there really nothing that exists for parents except, I guess, books and the internet?
That's a really
Because it would be a
interesting
great
question.
idea to just kind of
It
analyze
is.
baby poop. Does
It
that
is
exist?
because you learn so much about babies through their poop
Mm-hmm.
and what's happening. I can't say concerning tech companies, but I know that there is testing for like microscopic blood in stool, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you may not see it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's definitely something we can get on.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking you could like develop some sort of technology that can analyze the poops and kind of reassure parents
Yes.
if that's such a big thing. So I don't know, just food for thought.
Yes.
But it's definitely super interesting this whole poop conversation. And could I ask you now, like looking into the future with your community, what kind of future plans do you have? Do you have any goals, any plans for the community? how do you envision the community's impact in the coming years, in especially in the broader conversation of formula, breastfeeding? Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about how the impact can become even larger in the future?
Yeah. Well, in terms of my vision and goals for the company, for the community, sorry, I would love for us to actually do a meetup at some point in time, a
Mm-hmm.
physical meetup. I think that would be really amazing. And to be able to get parents, even within their own districts,
Mm-hmm.
to meet and have that sort of support, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it is important, yes, to get the conversations going online, but sometimes when you can actually, meet up,
Yeah.
personally, you
Mm-hmm.
get a stronger sense of community. So that is
Yeah.
definitely something that I would love to look into in the
Mm-hmm.
future, and basically just really continuing to grow the community, have parents continue to give advice, because
Mm-hmm.
I always say that I'm not the one. I don't own parenting,
Yeah.
so um, so many others have so much good, valuable advice
Mm-hmm.
that they can give and that they do give. And
Mm-hmm.
so just keeping parents who are more experienced, keeping them engaged, to
Yeah.
be able to assist younger parents, and then even vice versa, because there's no such thing as knowing too much,
Yeah.
right? And you always learn in all of your interactions,
Mm-hmm.
from day to day. And yeah, so I'd really just love to continue growing the community and ensuring
Mm-hmm.
that all the parents get the answers that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's a great mission. By chance, do you have any also doctors in your community, or is it just 100% parents giving advice to other parents? Or
Yeah,
maybe at some point you could have, yeah.
we also do have
Hmm.
doctors. We also have biochemists.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's great.
who are there, and giving proper sound advice to parents
Hmm.
as well. So
Hmm.
um, our group is very diverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We're kind of almost reaching the end of our episode, but I always ask my guests a couple of questions at the end that are very, in every episode. And I know I didn't tell you in advance because I want to get people's live reaction to that question. And no worries, there's no, it's not a big thing.
That's
But
okay.
if you had a new parent right now in front of you who literally just became a parent for the first time, what are your top three pieces of advice that you would give them? It could be about anything, but what are the top three things that you would tell them, given your experience as a mom and your experience literally helping tens of thousands of other parents? What would you say to them? What would be your top?
My first, really the most important thing I would say is to give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time you're doing it. It's a big transition. It is a very, very big transition. So give yourself time to adapt. That's one. Two, reach out to a community. Try to get as much
Mm-hmm.
support as you can, because it's a village raises a child. It's not just one person, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so important to have a community around you,
Mm-hmm.
physical or on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And three, just get as much rest as you can, because you need
Yes,
it.
yes, you definitely need it.
Yeah.
That's great advice. I really relate to that because I have heard so many times that isolation is really the worst or the biggest challenge in being a new parent. And as you
Yes.
rightly said, there it takes a village, but now for a lot of families, the village is not around because the parents live like at the other end of the world, and they don't have that support system around them, which makes them feel
Yeah.
even more isolated. So join communities, join Nwannia's community for sure. if you're a new parent or even a more experienced parent. And yeah, where can people find you? Give us like details of, I guess you already said your kid's name, but yeah, give us the details of how they can find
So
you, how they can find.
you can find us on Facebook. So it's Kendamil Hip and Holly Formulas Parent Support Community. I know it's a mouthful. But
I'll link
yes,
it.
yes. So you can check her link. And feel free to ask any questions at all. No question is a stupid question.
Mhm.
Because we're all learning and we're all growing together.
I love this. Well, Nwannia, thank you so, so much for being on the Capella podcast talking about like not breastfeeding, formula feeding. And sorry, that's so ingrained in my brain and all the challenges that come with it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you keep
Thank you
growing
so
this
much,
amazing
Apple.
community.
I'm so grateful that you have us have me on your group, on your podcast.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.